Hello and welcome to the next video of my Hall of Fame series where I cover players that my Discord, the ADE community, has chosen for the Hall of Fame. If you'd like to participate in this going forward, the voting is going on in the Discord as we speak. The third class, the Ambition's part of the first class, the third class is being voted on now. So if you don't like who's being put in the Hall of Fame, participate. If you don't choose to participate, then you're just spewing into the void, and I think that it's, I don't know. Complaining about something, Discord link's in the description. Click on it. Voting takes 2 seconds, unless you're worried that you don't know the players that are up for vote, in which case maybe you don't know who the best players are. Just a thought. Now, Ambition had 172.62 fantasy points, played mid and jungle, our first dual role player. Played from 2012 to 2018. His 3 most played champions, so the majority of his career was in the jungle. Most played was Rek'Sai, which ranks 2nd all time in games played. Make sure this is still where it's supposed to be. It is. Gragas, 5th all-time, Sejuani, 14th. Those 3 champions' total games account for 28% of his career. Now, what I find interesting is his highest win rate is Nunu, 92%. That's his highest champion with at least 11 or so games played or more. I can't find the rankings for the best Nunu players ever. For some reason, Leaguepedia's stats do not hold that. He also had his best KDA was on Nunu at 10.86 in his career. Second best win rate champion actually was Twisted Fate from his mid lane days. He had an 88% win rate, which ranks 1st all time amongst players with double-digit games played on the champion. I'm sure not a lot of people knew that Ambition's TF was that highly regarded. Diana is 3rd at 69%, which ranks 7th all time. KDA, his LeBlanc was his 2nd best champion at only 4.26. That ranks 33rd all time. And then Twisted Fate, 402, ranks 31st. So KDA, not all that high on these champions, but the win rate was probably in part to do with the team that he was on. So Ambition at 19 years old would join CJ Entis Blaze and play mid lane. In 2012 spring, he would win the split, playing 11 games and having the best KDA out of all mid laners at 819. In summer, he would play 10 games with a 331 KDA, go to the playoffs, play 5 games, have a 2.53. Sorry, somebody's mowing the lawn outside. That gives him 15.49 Hall of Fame points that year. In 2020, he would stay in mid lane, playing for CJ Blaze. Had 16.1 Hall of Fame points. In 2013 winter, in 30 games, he had a 331 KDA, so keeping up with what it ended up being in 2012, 331. And I mean, the 819 was a big outlier. 2013 spring, in 19 games, he'd have a 3 KDA and lead the Champions League in CS per minute in mid at 8.45. In 2013 summer, in 12 games, he would have a 3-1 KDA. I just hit the board. We're still on the screen. We are. So 3-1 KDA, 12 games in 2013 summer. He'd go to the playoffs, struggle, in 3 games, be kicked out with a 1-2-2 KDA, 819 CS per minute. So really, his mid lane days were pretty good. Ambition had a great KDA in 2019 spring, led in 2013 spring in CS. 2021 would be his last year in mid lane. 342 Hall of Fame points with CJ Blaze. In winter, in 11 games, 315 KDA and 745 CS per minute. That's 1 whole CS less than it was in 13 spring when he led champions. In 2014 spring, he'd have a 21 game split, 357 KDA. 2014 summer, he'd only play 6 games before, pretty much being out of a job. 487 KDA, 852 CS per minute. So at that point, CJ Blaze turned into CJ Entis. They combined because they had Blaze and Frost or something going on Azubu. Keep in mind, somebody's going to say this. I should have said this off the start so people didn't say this. I put CJ Entis Blaze here because that's what the team ended up being. It was like MiG and Azubu and a couple other team names, similar to how I did Rocks, Tigers, and Smeb a couple videos ago. Actually, the last video in this series. So keep that in mind. I am aware that they did have different names. In 2022, he would go to the jungle with CJ Entis as they combined teams. He'd have 12 4-3 Hall of Fame points. 2015 spring, only played 9 games, had a 2.1 KDA, 3.4 CS per minute, 60.4 KP. So not very involved in those games and not, in the preseason, just kind of doing his thing. Keep in mind the jungle role was definitely a lot more, well, not as farm heavy, let's put it that way at the time. We talked about Bangy and his inability to adapt. I feel like Ambition had a little bit of that going on as well in his career when it came to the jungle role specifically. Obviously, he adapted from mid to jungle, which is very impressive. But as the jungle meta changed, Ambition really didn't keep up all that much. In 2015 spring, in 32 games, he'd put up excellent numbers. The 3.95 KDA was third amongst junglers. 3.34 CS per minute was first. 72.1 KP. 18.4 gold share. So his first split in the jungle, one of the best KDAs, best CS, doing work. In 8 games in the playoffs, he'd have a 3.56 KDA, 3.3 CS per minute, 71.9 KP, 17.9 gold share. Very consistent with what he did in spring, but could not get it done to go to MSI. In 2015 summer, he'd have very good numbers once again in a few categories. In 39 games, his KDA would improve to a 4.22, 3.43 CS per minute ranked third, 76% KP would rank second, 249 damage per minute, 18.5 damage share gold share ranked third. So one of the most fed junglers, also one of the most involved, hence, being fed. In the playoffs, he would be one and done. In 3 games, he had a 2.71 KDA, 3.09 CS per minute, 79.2 KP. So 4 out of every 5 kills he was involved in. 293 damage per minute, 18.1% of the team's damage was his. 18.4 gold share. They would then go to the regional qualifiers and also drop out after 1 round. In 5 games, he had a 2.89 KDA, 3.07 CS per minute, 68.4 KP. So dropped 10% from one series to the next. Damage per minute dropped significantly to 218, 17.9% gold share. So Ambition, this is evident. So far in the first half of his career, unable to go to an international event, struggling in the playoffs, if he even gets there, and some of these splits he didn't at all, but he did show an ability that not many have throughout their entire career. Even up until this point, going from mid at a decent level to the jungle and being a very, very talented player. So that's it for the first half of Ambition's career. Now on to the second half. All right, so now Ambition's second half of his career. So this is where, in 2016, 2017 is where he made, a really big impact on League of Legends forever. Playing for Samsung Galaxy in 2016 at 23 years old. He would, in spring, play 44 games, have a 3.3 KDA, 4.9 CS per minute, which ranked second, 73.5 KP, and he dealt a ton of damage relative to the other LCK junglers. 386 DPM was second, 20.9% of the team's damage was first, 20.5 gold share, 7 solo kills ranked second, but could not go to the playoffs. The team did not have team success in 2016 spring. Now in 2016 summer, in 40 games, his numbers, once again, pretty good, but not quite as elite as they were in spring. 3.1 KDA, 4.8 CS per minute ranked third, 67.4 KP. So that dropped a bit. 341 damage per minute, 16.6 damage percentage, 19.9 gold share, 4 solo kills, ranked third. However, in 2016 summer, they were good enough to make the playoffs. They would drop out in the first round. In 5 games, had a 3.1 KDA, 5 CS per minute, 69.2 KP. His damage numbers went back up to 470 in that series per minute, 19% damage share, 20.7 gold share. Because they dropped out, they had to go to regional qualifiers, which is where Ambition really did very well in terms of trying not to die. A 5.2 KDA, so very good. That's the highest, actually, second highest that we'll see on this board here. 4.7 CS per minute, 70.4 KP, 334 damage per minute, only 14.8% of the team's damage, so not as relied upon. We're looking at the series before at 19%, in spring nearly 21%, but in the playoffs and regional qualifiers dropped down to nearly 15%, 20.5 gold share, 2 solo kills. So this allowed Ambition to go to Worlds for the first time, go to his first international event. Samsung Galaxy would go on a deep run. In 17 games, he had a 3.7 KDA, 4.7 CS per minute, which ranked second amongst junglers at the tournament. 62.4 KP, so very low kill participation, and this would start a trend actually for Ambition, not as involved as the team did not fight around him as much. 341 damage per minute, 14.7 damage share, which is consistent with regional qualifiers. 19.7 gold share, ranked first amongst junglers at Worlds. 2 solo kills. He had 39 Hall of Fame points in 2016. Now, in 2017, after that very good run, in my opinion, in 2016 at Worlds, he kind of faced, how do I put this? His job was in jeopardy. 2017 spring, he only played in 12 games. He had a 3 KDA, 5.6 CS per minute, 65.5 KP, 323 damage per minute, 15.7 damage share, 19.8 gold share, 2 solo kills, as he pretty much lost his job. He only played in 1 playoff game that year in spring, 2.3 KDA, 6.7 CS per minute, 63.6 KP, so became very selfish relative to how he'd played in the past. 332 damage per minute, 22.8% of the team's damage in that series. in that game. 20.8 gold share, 2 solo kills in that loss for Ambition. So the team decides after spring and barely playing Ambition, they went back to him in summer heavily. He played in 37 games in summer with a 3.8 KDA, which ranked third amongst junglers, was first in CS at 5.2, but still 64% KP, so not as involved, less than 2 out of every 3 kills. That is very carry oriented, as in I'm on my own, I am not helping everybody, which I don't like in a jungler, but that was the deal. 255 damage per minute and a 12.9 damage share, so very passive. 18.9 gold share, ranked second, 2 solo kills in those 37 games. Once again, in the playoffs, he only played in a single game. 2 KDA, 5.2 CS per minute, was involved in every kill in that game. 323 damage per minute, 19.4 damage share, 19.2 gold share. And then the team would turn back to him for regional qualifiers. In 6 games, he put up a fantastic run once more. So these 2 regional qualifiers in 2016-2017 were some of the best stretches of games that Ambition played. 7.8 KDA, 4.6 CS per minute, 66.7 KP, so 2 out of every 3 kills. But this started another trend. Low damage. As the meta changed, Ambition changed. We went from 15% up to 16%. Hell, even 2016 spring, 21%. To, in regional qualifiers, 211 damage per minute, which ranked only 10.2%. 17.9 gold share, 1 solo kill. They would then go to Worlds and win. So he had 72.25 Hall of Fame points in 2017. 2017 was the year Ambition would win the big trophy. In 15 games, he had a 4.2 KDA, which ranked second for junglers at Worlds that year. 4.6 CS per minute, 80.6 KP. So completely different than any other split he had hell, in the last 2 years, 80% of the team's kills Ambition was involved in, which was extremely different than what we even saw in summer, which was 16.5% less. Damage was still the same situation, though. 232 DPM, only 12%. 17-7 gold share, ranked second, had 2 solo kills. 2018 would be his final year. At 25 years old, he still did not have the job completely for himself. In 27 games, he had only a 2.2 KDA, 5.7 CS per minute, which ranked third, 63.7 KP, so turning back to what had happened in the domestic splits the year before. Not as involved, more farm-oriented. 171 damage per minute, which really, actually ranked below 10% of Gen G's damage. So, borderline support. Like, glorified support. Getting all that farm with such little damage is, like, useless. He's not dealing damage with the farm. He's not doing anything with the farm. 17-6 gold share, only had 1 solo kill. In the playoffs, he played 3 games in struggle. 1.3 KDA, 4.6 CS per minute, 59% KP, 154 damage per minute, which was 7%, 17-2 gold share. 2018, he would split time again. In 26 games, he'd have 3 KDA, 5.1 CS per minute, 71.6 KP, so gave up a little bit of farm to be more involved with the team. 148 damage per minute, 9.1 damage share, so once again below 10%. 17.5 gold share, 1 solo kill. 2018 summer playoffs, only 2 games played. 1.1 KDA, so once again, struggling in the playoffs. 5.6 CS per minute, 90 KP, so very involved. 227 damage per minute, 12.6 damage share, 19.5 gold share. So his impact on the team went up in those games he played. He played in 3 regional qualifier games, so the 3rd year in a row, his squad is able to get to Worlds through regional qualifiers. He had a 2.3 KDA, 5.5 CS per minute, only 45% KP. So he was on his own, on an island. In the jungle, just kind of getting lost, if you will. 137 damage per minute, 11.3 damage share, 18.6 gold share. His final game, which is fitting for any player, Ambition's final game was at Worlds. He played once at the event. 5 KDA, 4.4 CS per minute, 83.3 KP on Olaf. 259 damage per minute, nearly 21% of the team's damage in that game. 17% gold share. His final year at 13.9 Hall of Fame points. So, this is a player that, like I said, struggled to really adapt. So, very good in his first couple years in the jungle. But once the team got better, and I guess once the team got better, they started fighting away from him. You know, you have other players kind of doing their thing in lane, and he may be farming, which is fine, but he's not dealing damage in team fights. Maybe that was the meta at the time, but, I think it's hard to tell. Like, did he struggle to adapt? He won Worlds in the second half of his career. He retired at 25. I think this is weird, given how well he had been doing, that they put pressure on him with Haru and etc. to, be better. Like, subbing in and out junglers is not always the best idea, but they end up winning with that strategy. Kind of interesting, he only won domestically once, and it was his first split of his career. In mid lane, he didn't win anything else besides Worlds that was included on the board. Of course, he had won MLG events and things like that, but I don't talk about those in these videos. I only talk about what... So I take Worlds, and what did you have to win to get into Worlds? Oh, you had to win the LCS. Oh, you had to win the LPL. You had to win the VCS. You had to win, whatever, Southeast Asia qualifiers or Latin America qualifiers or whatever to get into these events. That's where the stats come from. That's what matters to me. So, outside of that, he only won a couple times. So, good player, though. Earned his right to be on here. 172 Hall of Fame points, was up there towards the top. Keep in mind, any player that is eligible on the ballot has to be retired for 2 years to be on there. So that's kind of the deal. Or teamless for 2 years. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord to participate in the future. And become a YouTube member. And I hope to see you again tomorrow.